Hey there, history buffs and fellow humans who've occasionally sent an email without the attachment. Welcome back to List of, the channel where we dive deep into the fascinating, the bizarre, and sometimes the downright facepalm-worthy corners of history. Today we're talking about blunders. Not just any blunders, mind you, but those microscopic, seemingly insignificant screw-ups that somehow manage to ripple through time and fundamentally reshape our world. You know, the kind of mistakes that make you think, seriously? That's what caused that. So grab your favorite oops mug because we're counting down some of the biggest historical mistakes that changed everything. First up, let's head to space, where even the smartest people can fall victim to the most elementary miscommunications. Picture this, 1999, NASA's Mars Climate Orbiter, a cool $125 million spacecraft, is zipping towards the red planet, ready to study its atmosphere. Exciting stuff, right? Well, not for long. See, NASA had contracted a company called Lockheed Martin to build parts of the orbiter. Lockheed Martin, being a sensible bunch, used imperial units, pounds of force, feet, all that good stuff. NASA, being well, NASA was working in metric units, newtons, meters, the stuff the rest of the world uses. And somewhere along the line, a crucial conversion simply didn't happen. So, while Lockheed Martin was calculating thrust in pound seconds, NASA's navigation software was expecting Newton seconds. The result? The orbiter, thinking it was perfectly on course, actually ended up flying way too low into Mars' atmosphere. It wasn't a noble sacrifice. It wasn't a meteor shower. It just disintegrated. Poof! All because one team was speaking inches and the other was speaking centimeters. A very expensive lesson in the importance of consistent units, proving that even rocket science isn't immune to a basic math flub. Now, from a unit conversion to a word conversion. Ever said something you immediately regretted? Imagine saying something in one language that, when translated, accidentally sparks a war. Because that's pretty much what happened with the First Opium War. The year is 1839. Tensions are boiling between Britain and China over the opium trade. Commissioner Lin Zexu, a Chinese official, sent a strongly worded letter to Queen Victoria, demanding an end to the illegal drug trade. Fair enough, right? He basically said, stop sending us your drugs or else, but here's where it gets murky. The nuanced Chinese phrase for China would cease to trade with Britain was translated in a way that sounded less like a diplomatic warning and more like an immediate, aggressive ultimatum, the total cessation of trade. In diplomatic circles, that's not just a stern talking to. That's practically a declaration of war. The British saw it as an affront, an insult that threatened their economic interests and global standing. They responded not with negotiation but with gunboats. A single, mistranslated phrase, intended to convey a threat, was interpreted as an immediate act of hostility, leading directly to the First Opium War, a conflict with immense and lasting consequences for both nations and global trade. Proof that words, especially misinterpreted ones, can have more destructive power than any weapon. Sometimes it's not a miscalculation or a mistranslation, but a simple failure to follow basic safety protocols. And the consequences can be absolutely cataclysmic. Let's talk about the Halifax Explosion of 1917. The First World War was raging, and Halifax, Nova Scotia, was a critical port for shipping supplies to Europe. On December 6th, two ships collided in the harbor, the Norwegian vessel Imo and the French cargo ship Mont Blanc. Now, the Mont Blanc wasn't just any cargo ship. It was absolutely crammed with explosives, picric acid, TNT, gun cotton, you name it. It was essentially a floating bomb, heading for the front lines. Crucially, standard safety regulations dictated that a ship carrying such a volatile cargo display specific warning flags and take precautions, like having a pilot boat guided in. But the Mont Blanc was late, in a rush, and those warnings weren't properly observed or relayed. Or perhaps they were, but in the chaos of a busy wartime port, they were simply ignored. When the two ships collided, sparks flew. Literally, a fire broke out on the Mont Blanc. The crew abandoned ship knowing what was coming. 20 minutes later, the largest man-made explosion prior to the atomic bomb leveled much of Halifax, killing nearly 2,000 people, injuring thousands more, and causing a tsunami that devastated the coastline. The blast was heard hundreds of miles away. All because, in a moment of haste and oversight, a ship full of explosives failed to announce its deadly cargo. and other vessels failed to sufficiently heat its presence. A truly devastating consequence of a series of very avoidable mistakes. And while these tales are grim, sometimes the mistakes are just face-palmingly absurd. Like NASA, somehow in the 1970s, managing to accidentally tape over the original, pristine video recordings of the Apollo 11 moon landing. You know, humanity's greatest achievement? Just gone, taped over with shuttle telemetry data. Because storage tapes were expensive. Imagine being the intern who got that job. Oh, this tape says moon landing. Looks reusable. Or the infamous fat finger stock market error, where an unlucky trader in Japan meant to sell one share for 610,000 yen, but instead sold 610,000 shares for 1 yen each. A single misplaced digit, an entire day of market chaos, and a multi-million-dollar mistake. Ouch! From devastating explosions to international conflicts sparked by a single word. From multi-million-dollar space dust to priceless lost historical footage, it's clear that the smallest human error can often leave the biggest mark. It makes you wonder how many other pivotal moments in history were just one misplaced comma or one forgotten safety check, away from being entirely different. What do you think? Were there any other historical screw-ups that you think deserve a spot on this list? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey through humanity's magnificent blunders, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to List of for more fascinating dives into everything from the sublime to the ridiculously mistaken. And ring that notification bell so you never miss another episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.